Hi, everybody. I'm Candid. Frank, he's Aaron William Freeland, and this is Leaf Talk. And, of course, we'll start with the Maple Leafs. I'm not sure I like the idea of the colors I'm wearing. The Legion colors kind of correspond with the team they played last night.
I got to tell you.
It doesn't mean I'm a Carolina fan. It doesn't. It's the Legion. They're the Legion colors. Logan Stanghoven scores and helps Carolina beat Toronto last night. 4-2 lead by the Leafs for not.
Disappeared in a matter of minutes. Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Sean Walker, and Taylor Hall also kicked in. This was the Hall of Fame game, so Maple Leaf alumni were there. Alex McGillney was unfortunately unable to attend, but he is finally getting into the Hall. Former Leafs legend Joe Thornton was there, Matt Sundin, Lenny McDonald, Daryl Sittler, all there for the presentation. Fantastic to see. But then the game started, and while Dennis Hildeby was decent in stopping 41 of 46 shots, and Matthew Nyes got 2 assists, Will Nylander also had 2 goals, while Tavares and Austin Matthews had a goal and an assist each. It was good. It was a good game for the most part because the Leafs weren't expected to win it. There's a thing called the deserve to win-o-meter, and it simulates the games based on the team's current statistics, and it gave the Leafs a 6% chance of winning out of 500 tries. 6% chance of winning out of 500 tries.
And in case you don't know what that means, that's 94%.
Yeah, 94% Carolina.
Math is a challenge for you.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty bad weekend for the Leafs in general, because they also lost the game to Boston. Sorry, the night before. I want to say Buffalo for a second there, but they lost the game to Boston the night before 5-3. Just not a good showing in the slightest by the Maple Leafs this weekend, and it just seems last year they played boring hockey, but it was entertaining because they won. This year, they're playing boring hockey, and it sucks because they're not winning. I'm not sure exactly what's happened here, but it was tough to see it in person too. That was a bit of a downer.
The problem with the Leafs is, and it's very simple. They know how to get a lead. They've done it a few times this year. Mm-hmm. The one thing they haven't been able to do is bring it home. And let's be clear here. They miss their number one defenseman. I don't care what anybody says. They miss him. He's a shutdown defenseman. He brings calm to the game. And unfortunately, Riley is now starting to hear the catcalls from the press boxes and from the studios, referring to his inability to play defensive hockey. And that's only noticeable because, quite frankly, their number one defenseman, a defensive guy, is not there. And then you end up with their number two defenseman trying to carry the puck out instead of passing it, and bad things are happening. It's like, I don't know. It seems like the Leaf players all have a necklace of hand grenades, and they're throwing them whenever they get a chance. It's just, it is frustrating to be a Leaf fan right now. But here's what I'm going to say to you. Even though they're having these kinds of losses, they can clean things up. And I say it's possible, not because I know the Leafs are going to do it, but because I know you got a team like Florida during the year. You got a team like Edmonton. We've seen, and I'm not trying to compare them to those teams either. I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to say is that a season's very long. You can have a very slow start, and the slow start, you can make up for it. The thing of it is not everybody can do that. So now that's the question. Can the Leafs recover to have a good season in the next few weeks? November is normally their best month. So this kind of game in November is unusual for Toronto.
And I'll be honest, I think Marubi's a little befuddled by
Oh,
the
he's
whole
losing it.
situation.
He's losing it.
Uh, if he hasn't killed any of them yet, I'm reasonably certain he probably will in the very near future with his bare hands at the Ford Center for Performance for the Ford Performance Center. I guarantee he's going to beat somebody down in the middle of a
I
match.
want to make sure people understand this. Aaron means this euphemistically.
Yes.
And if you don't know
No.
what euphemistically means, it means pretend. He's
Yes.
not going to really do it. He's just going to pretend to do it. But you know what? You're right. His top is like, it's he's kind of holding it down. There's a little lever here to control the top, and you saw him just holding it down, holding his nose. Just that poor guy. But you know what? It's the coaching staff has a responsibility, and the players have a responsibility, and ownership has a responsibility, and the GM has a responsibility. When things go wrong, any one of those four groups can be the reason. The question is, can one of those groups or all of those groups turn things around? I'm back to that again.
I mean, realistically, my answer to this question is yes. Of course they can. I have to, as a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I have to believe this with my entire heart and soul that they can turn it around. Will they? That I'm not 100% sure of. They, like you mentioned, they have a bandolier of grenades that they just enjoy lobbing for no apparent reason whatsoever. John Tavares mentioned the fact that it seems that they're a little bit immature when it comes to this sort of thing. They lack a certain amount of maturity when it comes to making certain plays. He may be right. They were a very good defensive team last year. Very good.
I don't think he's right. And the reason Aaron I say I don't think he's right, maturity is something that, or immaturity is something that is attributed usually to young people. This is not a young team.
No,
this is not a young team. This is a veteran club. Now, here's the thing. There's a saying, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. And right now, you've got a team of strangers playing together. And new tricks is exactly what they're trying to learn. They're trying to adapt to a system. In the case of the new Maple Leafs, they're trying to adapt to a system they know nothing about. As far as the existing Maple Leafs, those ones don't know what it's like to play with the new guys, right? So there's this moment here where they got to figure it out, and hopefully, and this is the only thing that I can say that really matters, Aaron. Hopefully, in that locker room, in that dressing room, in that changing room, there are guys with character who know what it takes to overlook their mistakes, overlook the mistakes of their teammates, and figure out a way to pull the rope the same way. That's the challenge the Leafs have right now. They're not pulling the rope in one direction. They're just not doing a really good job of that. Hopefully, their veteran experience will not hinder them learning new tricks.
Yeah, this is no longer a young team. Their average age is just a shade over 30 for this
They're like
season.
the third or fourth oldest team in the league.
Yeah, them, the Capitals, the Oilers, and the Minnesota Wild are the four oldest teams in the league currently, closely followed by the New York Islanders. So the fact that they're calling themselves immature, or that John Tavares called some of their play immature, is slightly misleading, because that is definitely not the case.
He's just saying it as nice a way as it can pop in his head that sounds like he's saying it in a non-negative, put-down-ish way. He's trying, basically he's telling them, we're not doing things right. We need to learn to do it the right way. And what he's saying is the best way. I wouldn't argue with what he's saying. What he's saying, it isn't so much the exact words he's using. It's what it means. It means you guys, you got to grow up and play like adults. You got to put on your big boy pants. That's what he's saying. We got to put on our big boy pants.
And according to Berube, this team has just gone completely off the rails when it comes to this sort of thing. They're just
Oh
they're
shoot!
they're not adapting.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
I
hear that.
believe that the
last time,
phrase is very polite. Let's
last
just
time
say
we heard something like that, a guy named Brian Burke says it's like a 16-wheeler going
18
off a
wheeler off
mountain.
a cliff.
18-wheeler.
Yeah.
No, we can't have any of that.
Oh,
That'll be too much for Aaron and company to take. No, let's not go there. Please, let's not go. Oh, anyway. Well, it's all good. It is what it is. Yeah.
mhm.
So his frustration with that defensive mistakes, Tavares has made a point of pointing out what he thinks is wrong. Let's go to baseball and let's talk about $450,000 pitches. What?
Yeah, so this is something that's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. As you know, sports betting is very popular, in particular prop bets. Um, there's been a DOJ investigation that's been ongoing since about the end of 2023. The DOJ was actually looking into two pitchers, Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians. They have alleged that those two guys conspired with bettors to rake in around 700 grand collectively between the two of them.
700 grand.
Yeah,
Baseball players.
in tipping off bettors as to what kinds of pitches were going to be coming when. There's things like prop bets, which are like, well, we think that this guy's going to throw 10 balls in this particular
Well,
inning, and
absolutely. They pitch.
and
They gamble on everything. They gamble on the coin toss.
and it's unbelievable. That it hugely negatively impacts the integrity of the game of baseball.
I just think
to its core.
I just think that if bettors are betting on stuff like that, Aaron, when they get down into the weeds, you're asking for trouble.
Oh yeah,
They're asking for trouble.
I mean, Clase just signed a $20 million extension in 2022. Like huge knock money.
And 600-700 grand is something you're going for. I guess they're going for pocket change.
Well, I mean, there may be a certain thrill to that sort of thing and putting one over on Major League Baseball, but I mean, that's the whole reason why they brought in Rule 21, which threatens permanent ineligibility for any player, umpire, league, or club official involved in any forms of betting on baseball. So it may actually be enforced this time around.
Oh, it will be. If there's any truth in what's going on with baseball and pitching and this stuff that's going on, there's going to be expulsions for sure. Aaron, it happened. It's happened before, when they were cheating, with steroids and stuff, right? One guy was doing it. It wasn't such a bad thing. Then when it started to get multiple players doing it and it was discovered that multiple players were doing it, they had to do something, because eventually you've got to say something so that people don't do it. So players don't do it. Accountability has to become a factor. And in this case, this kind of betting, it's going to be hard to figure out. It's different than, for example, one of the things that they were doing before the previous charges in basketball had to do with the fact a player would come up lame and nobody would say anything because you're not allowed to say anything. And then somebody would tip off the bettors. By the way, I don't know if you know, but blah, blah, blah isn't playing tonight. And if blah, blah, blah isn't playing tonight in basketball and he's a really good player, that can affect how you bet.
It definitely can.
And those guys got to get stopped. It's got to stop.
That's why the Toronto Rangers need to face the full might of the DOJ when it comes.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. They're going to come after the Blue Jays. Trump's already pissed at them for doing that. Let's talk about the NBA and former head coach of the Toronto Raptors, 88-year-old Lenny Wilkens passed away.
Yeah, he passed away on Sunday. He was one of four Hall of Famers ever to be inducted, both as a player and a coach. He had 9 All-Star appearances for the St. Louis Hawks, Seattle Supersonics, and Cleveland Cavaliers during his playing career. He coached the Supersonics to a championship in '79 and retired as the league's winningest head coach in history, including a stint with the Toronto Raptors, coincidentally. So certainly a legend and a giant when it comes to basketball. He will definitely be missed.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Maxey and Embiid. They lead the 76ers to a big win, 130-120.
Yeah, they combined for 60 points as the 76ers just laid an absolute beating on the Raptors on Saturday. Trendon Watford had 20 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists for Philly, who lost all 4 of their games to Toronto last season. RJ Barrett on the flip side and Emmanuel quickly each scored 22 points for the Raptors, who had won 4 in a row. Toronto was playing the second contest of a back-to-back after beating Atlanta 109-97 on Friday. Brandon Ingram chipped in with 21 for the Raptors. Now, they did manage to get within 3 points with 3:25 to play, but then the 76ers went on a 6-point run on VJ Edgecombe's layup, Kelly Oubre Jr.'s dunk, and Embiid's follow on his own miss. Took a 9-point lead with a $1:25 left. So close, but no cigar. The Raptors will have a chance to get back into action at Brooklyn on Tuesday, and the 76ers are going to be hosting Detroit on Sunday. So
let's go to the Canadian Football League, and Trevor Harris was heard to say it's our time.
Well, this is a duel between 2 of the best teams in the CFL. So the Roughies took down the Lions, scoring a late game-winning touchdown with 12 seconds left on the clock for the 24-21 win at Mosaic. They get to move on here. He said during an interview on Friday that he feels that this is the Riders' time. So we'll have to see if that bears it out. But I'd certainly like to see him have a shot at winning. I'm not a fan of the other team that made the finals. So.
Yeah, and of course the Owls beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I was near the end zone where the field goal was kicked when it happened. It was very quiet in Hamilton Stadium.
I can only imagine how quiet it would have been after the ball went through. Apparently their defense won the day for them. There were just 3 field goals kicked between the 2 teams, with Montreal leading 6-3 at halftime. So, that's definitely something that Saskatchewan is going to have to take into account when they play them.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the National Hockey League. We'll start with the Habs and Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, so after starting the season 8-2-0, the Mammoth appear to have gone ice cold. Montreal improved to 10-3-2 after they spanked the Utah Mammoth 6-2 on Saturday night. Kyler Yamamoto and Lawson Krause scored for Utah, but the Mammoth have lost 4 of their last 5 after winning 7 straight games back in October. Yamamoto opened the scoring on Utah's first shot, 3:03 into the first period. Ian Cole got a rebound off Montembeau's pad, and then Yamamoto just buried it in the back of the net. The Canadians took a lead with 6:43 left in the second when Newhook beat Karol Vejmelka on the glove side, and after that, that was pretty much all she wrote. Caulfield made it a 2-goal advantage with 6:31 left in the third, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Mammoth are going to be in Ottawa on Sunday, and the Canadians are hosting LA on Tuesday.
Excellent. Let's talk about the Sens, and they've got some depth in scoring, and they also played the Mammoth, the only team the Mammoth beat of the 4. Not to name names,
but the good news is that Ottawa's depth scoring actually came through for them. Nick Cousins got the winner. Ridley Greig, Jordan Spence, and Michael Amadio also scored for Ottawa. Both teams are playing on the back halves of a back-to-back, so you can't really blame it on that. Utah has now wrapped up a 4-game road trip with 1 win and 3 losses, while Ottawa, with that win on Sunday, opened up a 4-game homestand. Levi Merrill-Leinen made his 3rd NHL start, stopping 30 shots for the Sens. Amadio scored his 6th of the season and 4th in as many games after tipping a Thomas Chabot shot past Vitek Vanacek. He made 21 saves early in the third, and that made it 4-2. So at the end of the day, not exactly where the Mammoth want to be, but their playoff hopes aren't quite extinct yet.
The Ducks are hot. Anaheim has a pretty good team, apparently.
I tell you, the Jets got down by a bird strike. Seneke and Carlson each scored twice. That's the Ducks' 7th straight win. They took that 4-1. Um, Carlson has now extended his scoring streak to 10 games with 2 power play goals, and the Ducks beat the Jets 4-1. Cutter Gauthier and Chris Kreider had 2 assists apiece, and Lucas Dostal made 23 saves for the Ducks, who scored 33 goals during their longest winning streak in 2 years. As it currently stands, Colorado is in first, Anaheim is in second, Carolina is in third, tied with New Jersey and Montreal, and Dallas is in sixth with Pittsburgh 7th. The Leafs find themselves after that disastrous weekend down in 19th place, tied with San Jose, Minnesota, and Vancouver. So, not looking good.
No. Let's talk about the Jets and well, the Ducks again.
Yeah. We just covered that one.
Oh, so sorry. Wallstedt makes their 6 saves. Go ahead.
I'm gonna skip ahead. Wallstedt made 36 saves, and Boldy had a golden assist as the Flames, unfortunately, continued to struggle just a little bit after starting the season in spectacular fashion. And by that I mean not good. They're now dropped to 4-11-2 on the season with this loss to Minnesota, who are currently sitting in 6th in the Central Division with 17 points. This is now Calgary's 2nd loss in a row. In their past 10 games, they're 3-5-2. So tough road to hoe.
Totally tough. The Oilers, Avalanche 9-1, Aaron.
I don't think the Oilers made it to the rink. The team that showed up.
Another slow start?
Brother, I tell you, they were down 3-0 by the end of the first period, down 4-0 shortly into the second. They pulled Skinner for Pickard, and he let the first shot in, so that was not a good start for him. Skinner allowed 4 goals on 13 shots. Calvin Pickard didn't do much better. He only made 17 saves. McKinnon assisted on Colorado's first goal, picking up his 700th even strength point of his career, joining Joe Sakic as the only other Avalanche player in franchise history to reach that mark. Edmonton defenseman Matthias Ekholm played in his 900th regular season game. Ekholm currently leads all active Oilers in career games against Colorado. So, Colorado is currently on fire. They've been doing really, really well. Won 3 in a row and 5-1-4 in their last 10. Edmonton is 4-3-3 in their last 10 and are just sitting at Bettman 500.
Absolutely. The Canucks and McKinnon.
Yeah, McKinnon was at it again. He got 5 points in a 5-4 overtime win. Gavin Brindley scored the game-winning goal in overtime to give the Avalanche a 5-4 win. Jake DeBrusk forced the overtime, deflecting in a Brock Besser pass on a power play with just 3:01 left in the third period. Arturi Lehkonen scored twice in the third, including once on the power play for Colorado. Thatcher Demko did not dress for the 2nd consecutive game after missing practice on Friday. Adam Foote that said he could play Tuesday against the Jets. Carlson's goal was his first in 14 games. That win for Colorado was their 400th for Jared Bednar. He's the 42nd NHL coach to collect 400 career wins and the 16th to do it with just one franchise. With his 2 goals, McKinnon has 381 career goals, moving him past Peter Stastny for 3rd place on Colorado's all-time goals list. Only Joe Sakic with 625 and Michel Goulet with 456 have more.
Excellent. All right, Aaron, let's talk about the Maple Leafs and what's wrong with them. I got to say, we talked a little bit about them at the front. I think at the back here, what they've got is they've got goaltending that's not as good as it's been. A goaltender that ended up gone from the team for a short amount of time. I think that what happened to Wall affected the goalie tandem, which they had. And the Leafs have brought in a goaltender and then released them. They brought another goaltender in and they got him on waivers. And now they got him back. They sent him back to Carolina. So in net, the Leafs have been in flux. What we've seen in goal is not acceptable. The way the Leafs are being served goaltending, and Stolar, he said it himself. He said it himself. I'm just haven't been good enough. On defense, you've got a Riley that's just not playing the way he needs to play. He's not playing like a number one defenseman. He's not playing like a core player to this team. And then the forwards, I said it from the beginning. My biggest issue is I needed to see Matthews lead the way when it comes to scoring, to be a playmaker, a guy that drives the offense. Well, to get him going, they had to put Nylander on a line with him. And, you've got, and of course, Nyes has been there the whole time. So you get your three best players and you have them on one line. This is not good. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. I don't know what you think about what I just said, Aaron, but have at it.
I joked about Caden Primo being borderline unusable, but with Anthony Stolarz kicking around an 8.89 save percentage, looking at Primo's save percentage at the same time, I don't necessarily think it's all the goalie's fault at this point. They've all been horrible.
And you welcome his record, right? He was 2-1, right? And then he was what, 3-1? Winning matters. I get that. When you're in a situation that the Leafs are in, they're in a dogfight for a playoff spot. This is going to go on all year. All year, the Leafs are always going to need to win to stay in the playoff hunt. The question is, do they have the maturity to do that? That's going to be the big question. Their former captain and present day leader, which Tavares is, that's what he called into question, the maturity of the team.
Yep. And with Stolarz rocking an 8.89, Caden Primo was rocking an 8.38, by the way, which is the best goalie that they've had has been Hildeby. He's rocking a 9.10. Now that's only over a really small sample size.
Yeah, but it was a big sample size. The game itself was a big sample size. 50 shots,
yep.
40 shots. I think it was 65 shot attempts or something like that. Or 80. I think it was 80.
In the two games that he's played, there have been 67 shot attempts. He's made 61 saves and allowed 6 goals. So this is one of those yike sort of situations. They are not supporting their goalies as they need
the Leaf fans out there are just going to have to settle into the idea that this is going to be a team that isn't going to dominate during the regular season. The hope is they have the character and the ability and the maturity and the toughness to go a little further in the playoffs. We've learned that we've seen it the other way. We've seen the Leafs finish first. We've seen the Leafs finish high in the standings. We've seen the Leafs have the home games in the early series. Well, they've only been in the early series. We've seen them have the home ice, and it has done them no good. At least not the kind of good that the fans want. What the fans want, I'm not saying they don't want the Leafs to do really well during the regular season, but I know for a fact, I believe this in my heart, that every Leaf fan would put up with the Leafs sneaking into playoffs to go 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with them squeaking in to a wild card spot. I'm okay with that. I just want them to make the playoffs. That's really it.
And do some damage. I hope you want that too, right? And
you're
hoping that the kind of team they are, even though they're not, like we talk about all the time, successful in the regular season, maybe they're the kind of team that can find success in the playoffs. Aaron, this was fun. Thanks for doing this. And I apologize again for being late. I was a little bit late. Working at the Legion. It's Remembrance Day tomorrow. We got a lot of work to do. And we're going to not celebrate. We're going to salute every veteran, the ones that have given their lives and the ones that live, and all the first responders that do so much for us and make our lives safer and better. So don't forget Remembrance Day. If you don't have a poppy yet, get one. I think, mine fell off. How many times has that happened? All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for doing this, Aaron.
Take care, Frank. We'll see you Wednesday.
All right. He's Aaron William, and I'm Candid Frank Sanishi. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great one, everybody. Till then.